Hey there, a happy Sunday to you. I'm King 5 meteorologist Ashley Ruiz with a look at your Western Washington forecast. Yesterday was beautiful, it was warm, but today going to be on the hotter side. Instead of us seeing 70s and 80s, greater chance to see mid and upper 80s for Puget Sound and the foothills for interior areas, maybe even a couple of 90s. But we're much cooler tomorrow thanks to the return of onshore winds. And it's not just going to be the coast, it's going to be all of us. Thankfully, we'll get a break from the heat before we heat things back up, starting on Tuesday. And tomorrow we could also have some clouds keeping us on the cooler side. I'll show you in just a minute. But with us warming up, we'll have some lower humidity in place. It's still a little uncertain just how low humidity we'll get Tuesday through Thursday, but that's something we're watching. But with offshore winds, even if they're just northeasterly winds, that could dry things out and elevate our fire weather concerns later in the week. But right now, east of the Cascades, including the eastern Cascades, very high risk for some fires to start. If they spark, they can spread rapidly. So there is a red flag warning in place for the eastern side of the Cascades, of the North and Central Cascades, including Wenatchee as well. That's this afternoon, evening. Strong gusts, maybe up to 30 miles per hour, and pretty low relative humidity. But that fire weather concern will continue into Monday for a larger portion of eastern Washington because of stronger winds as well, so possibly even lower humidity. Either way, it's going to be rough for our friends out east because not just that, but they're dealing with some extreme heat as well. They have a heat advisory in place through Monday, triple-digit temperatures. Meanwhile, in Oregon, including Portland, under an extreme heat watch kicking in Tuesday through Wednesday, likely going to turn into an extreme heat warning, especially if models continue to trend on the hotter side, which it's looking likely. We are not under any formal alerts right now, but that could definitely change. It's because we're going to have hot temperatures not only during the day, but at night. So we're not going to feel much relief from the heat before we heat things right back up. So Wednesday looks to be the hottest day. I'm forecasting a high near 90 for Seattle. So that means South Sound, the foothills could be even hotter than that. And as I mentioned, the fire risk, dry fuels, low humidity, the high heat may elevate that fire weather risk Tuesday through Thursday. There are some uncertainties, but we'll keep you posted. But into our Monday, let's skip ahead then. So you see the relative humidity, you see that green, that indicates a low fire danger risk. But east of the Cascades, you see running relative humidity speaking between 20 and about 30%. So that's low. And so critical fire concerns over there. But Monday, you see how our relative humidity is on the higher sides because of the return of onshore winds. But then watch what happens into Tuesday. And this is a higher resolution model, so it's not going beyond at least Wednesday morning, but it's showing our relative humidity dropping because we're going to start to get those offshore winds again, drier air in place. And so that's when we'll have to really watch for around Puget Sound, especially for that fire weather risk. So we'll see, but for now we don't have any alerts in place. However, the weather team issuing a first alert weather day Wednesday because that is going to be our hottest day. But you can see just in Tuesday and Thursday still going to be hot as well with little to no relief. So this is going to be a couple of days where it could be pretty uncomfortable if you don't have adequate cooling or you don't have ways to keep cool. But then you see later in the week temperatures start to drop once again. So as I mentioned, first alert weather day on Wednesday, highs 80s and 90s, lows in the 60s. So it is going to be crucial that you stay cool, stay hydrated, especially if you work outside in the direct sun. That could quickly lead to some heat-related illnesses. But let's start, before I dive into the forecast, let's talk about how beautiful it was this morning. Our viewer, Lois Carlson, sent this photo in from Camano Island. You see that fiery sunrise. We had alto stratus stratus clouds, altocumulus clouds, and you see the mackerel sky. Sometimes that could indicate that we have weather changes up ahead. A system's going to move in, and that's going to be the case into our Monday. It's a very weak system, but it's going to bring weather changes. So that's typically what that could indicate. If you are looking up at the sky and it looks like a little mackerel up there, just know that there's the potential for some weather changes up ahead, and that's tomorrow. I also wanted to talk about this. It's a pretty cool little phenomena, if you will. You see these clouds I circled right there. Typically, they kind of look like a jellyfish, right? You see how the body, that is an altocumulus cloud. And so altocumulus clouds are composed of water vapor, particles, and then the little tail, you see the little tentacles, if you will, that's virga. So essentially all of that precipitation, that moisture within that cloud is falling, essentially as rain, and then it evaporates before it even reaches the surface. So that gives that appearance, but it was beautiful. That's from our Columbia Center tower cam. We don't have that much now as of 9:42, but you can see blue sky above, and then we have a little bit of fog off in the distance. That's not the case everywhere except the coast. We still have that marine layer there, but beautiful, beautiful morning out there, but we are heating up quickly. It's going to be a hot one, that's for sure. So we'll start to our north, the islands in the 70s, interior areas going to be in the low and mid 80s. Then we get to the North Sound, the Everett area, and then the foothills, you see mid and potentially upper 80s, minus the islands, of course. And then Central Sound around 88 in Renton, around 87 in Bremerton, the foothills 80s and 90s. The best chance to hit 90 today really going to be focused on our hot spots, the South Sound, Southwest Interior, and the foothills closer to the Oregon state line, lower 90s, and then the beaches because of the marine layer, and then just as always, in the 60s, you see Hood Canal, 91 in Shelton, and then Sequim around 77 degrees. But once again, not much relief overnight. We'll have mostly cloudy skies, 55 to 63. And you see tomorrow, much cooler. This is going to be really nice. And temperatures could even be cooler than this if clouds linger longer than what we're thinking. Now, if they clear rapidly, which is possible, then they could be warmer. Either way, it's going to be cooler compared to today and the next couple of days. I'm sure a lot of us will appreciate it because again, it is going to be a pretty long duration stretch of hot weather. I know it's summertime in the Pacific Northwest. It gets hot, but our average high this time of year is around 77 degrees. A lot of people don't have AC, at least some of the older homes in the Seattle area. So let's talk about this upcoming system, the changes in our weather pattern. So we're getting pretty strong onshore winds tomorrow, so it could be pretty gusty through the strait near the coast and even here in the interior areas. This is a very weak disturbance, and you can see it's bringing some precipitation with it, but that's going to generally move to the southeast and to the east-southeast, bringing most of that precipitation more so to maybe the far eastern portion of Washington into Idaho and Montana, and then it quickly departs the area. You see that counterclockwise spin, and with that being said, that's when we're going to start to get those offshore winds. Even if they're coming out the northeast, northeast, we're still going to have those dry conditions, and that's why we could definitely warm up. Also, this thermal trough that could bring us these hot temperatures, and again, bringing offshore winds a little bit, that will quickly help us warm up. Tuesday's highs. Again, this could definitely change maybe by a couple of degrees, but still going to be on the hot side. But Wednesday is going to be the hottest. Even closer to the coast, you see 70s, 80s. And then for interior areas, Puget Sound generally in the mid and upper 80s. but watch what happens into Wednesday. Our temperatures maximize, and it's going to be upper 80s, lower 90s, maybe some mid 90s for our typical hot spots, even up in the mountains. Going to be very hot as well, relatively speaking. And then we get into Thursday, still going to be on the hot side. However, models have been going all over the place, saying Thursday will be cooler versus going to be hotter. So we'll see, but for now, going right in the middle in the mid and maybe upper 80s. Let's talk about the heat risk forecast. This is a product from the National Weather Service, and our office, especially when they're issuing these alerts, heat alerts, they take into account the heat risk forecast because this is what impacts people. It doesn't go solely off of a forecast high temperature. It's more so the heat risk because it takes into account the high temperature and the low temperature as well. This is today. So this orange color, that's moderate. So you see it's only generally for Puget Sound and then the foothills, but eastern Washington, major. That's where they're going to have the hottest temperatures. And then elsewhere it's minor. Then we get to Monday with the onshore winds. It goes from moderate to minor. That's that yellow color, and even some, this light green, that indicates little to no risk. Tuesday, it starts to build along the I-5 corridor all the way up to Whatcom County as well. And then Wednesday, it's widespread. So with that being said, if the trend continues, wouldn't be surprised to see some heat alerts issued again later in the week, something to watch. And then Thursday, you see how it starts to back off, except for our urbanized areas. And the reason why, urban heat islands. So it's really hard for us to cool overnight when we have so many buildings, concrete, asphalt, compared to some of the rural areas where you don't have that. And so we retain the heat during the day, and it's hard for it to release back into the atmosphere overnight. And then by Friday, you see we're back in that minor category. And what does that mean? I keep talking about this, but moderate is a level 2 out of 4. This means heat will be a risk to those who are sensitive to hotter conditions if you don't have AC or anything like that, especially to workers outdoors, because being in the hot conditions, especially the direct sun, could easily add several degrees, 10, maybe 20 degrees to how it will feel like to your body. We won't have to deal with high humidity, so a heat index over 100, but it's still, the sun could lead to heat-related illnesses if you do not take proper precautions. But with all of that being said, we will see some relief from the heat, still going to be above normal, but once again, Wednesday is the day where it's going to be hottest, but you will feel it today. You'll cool things down a little bit, open those windows, take advantage of that natural AC before we start to heat things up once again. And so we'll keep you posted on air, online, King 5 Plus, king5.com, the King 5 app, TV as well, you name it. We'll keep you posted. But I wanted to show you beyond the 7-day forecast, looking likely that we'll have 70s and 80s sticking with us, possibly through the end of the month. Remember, again, you can find the latest and the extended forecast. Tonight, meteorologist Adam Claybon will be in, and he'll break this all down for you in more detail right here on King 5 Plus, our YouTube page, so on and so forth. I hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend. Stay cool, stay hydrated, and we'll talk soon.